The first time it happened, it felt almost funny because I mentioned a mattress over breakfast without searching or shopping. Yet by lunch my phone looked like a showroom as every scroll and corner filled with bedding suggestions that made the timing feel uncomfortably precise. For a moment I did what almost everyone does and blamed the microphone because the reaction seemed instant, as if the phone heard me, took notes, and passed them along. But the explanation felt too dramatic once I looked at how the system actually behaves. Back when phones had cords and lived on kitchen walls, the only thing listening was a neighbor leaning a little too close, and the technology wasn't powerful enough to spy even if someone had wanted it to, keeping everything simpler than today's coordinated systems. Now the devices aren't eavesdropping so much as comparing notes, because every click, quiet search, login, and repeated action becomes part of a growing trail that advertisers follow, meaning you don't even need to say mattress for the system to draw conclusions. Browsing a furniture site last week, opening a promotional email this morning, or walking past a store on the way to coffee can trigger similar results. And while companies call these pieces signals, most users just experience the outcome as something strangely personal. The real shift starts when you move from believing the phone is listening to realizing your trail is loud, because digital advertising learned to follow behavior long before it started enhancing cameras, shaping recommendations, or predicting what people might want next. Tracking pixels sit on thousands of websites, cookies record tiny movements, and logging in with the same email across devices ties scattered activity together even when no one intends it, building a detailed pattern that eventually looks oddly intuitive. Your inbox acts like a short history of what you've browsed recently. Your location fills in additional context, and the background systems quietly assemble enough information to make the resulting ads appear almost psychic when they finally show up unexpectedly. Once that becomes clear, the phenomenon stops feeling supernatural and starts resembling household maintenance, unglamorous but predictable, requiring no paranoia or expertise because the apps aren't whispering secrets. They're simply sorting through the ongoing breadcrumb trail. Mentioning a mattress at breakfast feels connected to lunch because the trail had already pointed in that direction, and the conversation simply overlapped with what the underlying signals were already preparing to surface on the screen. So the more useful question isn't who's listening, but what did I leave behind that sent everything in this direction? Because that's the doorway into understanding how the whole system operates without relying on mysterious explanations. Now that the door's open, we can walk through it together and decode the mechanics without drama, keeping everything clean and direct while setting up the next step, looking closely at how to manage the noise instead of guessing what caused it. So let's replay the mystery in plain language. You talk about mattresses at breakfast, see mattress ads at lunch, and assume the phone listened, but the real explanation lives in everything you've already done with that device over the last several days. Every search for back pain, each late-night scroll through bedroom furniture, every promotional email you opened, and the times you walked through a mall with location active quietly stacked together, creating enough signals to predict interest in a mattress without ever relying on a microphone. Under the hood, a few basic tools handle most tracking. Pixels report visits, cookies remember actions, and shared account logins link activity across sites, turning separate platforms into one connected record, even when companies never explain how those elements quietly merge behind the scenes. Email adds another layer because confirmation messages and promotional notes often contain tracking that records whether you opened or clicked them, feeding that behavior into systems evaluating how interested you seem, while location data supplies context by showing stores you visit or routes you travel. Each individual signal looks unimpressive, yet combined they create a pattern that feels like mind reading when all you notice is the final ad. Even though the system is simply stitching together data points you generated through normal browsing, shopping, commuting, and curiosity. These systems run automatically without asking permission to bundle your behavior into a profile, which is why reducing noise means adjusting small settings instead of relying on one fix. Beginning with Apple's privacy and security menu, where tracking requests and personalized ads can be disabled. On Android, the Ads section in Settings lets you reset your advertising ID and opt out of personalized ads, which doesn't erase your presence, but interrupts continuity, so the resulting profile becomes less precise and therefore less capable of repeating the same predictive patterns. Within a browser, Google's ad settings page allows you to disable ad personalization or remove outdated interests, while Facebook's ad preferences and off-Facebook activity sections reveal which businesses share your activity, so you can disconnect past data and prevent future information from being attached. Another overlooked habit is remaining signed in across multiple devices, which creates a clean, continuous trail that makes tracking easier. So signing out of accounts on older tablets, forgotten laptops, or spare phones introduces useful gaps that disrupt the alignment data systems tend to favor. These steps aren't acts of paranoia, but practical housekeeping in a world where the default assumes everything is fair game, and treating them as routine maintenance makes the larger system feel less mysterious, because you understand how your actions feed the suggestions that follow you. Recognizing that these systems bundle behavior automatically helps you approach them calmly, because small adjustments such as limiting tracking, resetting identifiers, and reducing shared activity introduce enough disorder to make the resulting profile less polished and less uniform, weakening the accuracy of future predictions. And once you treat all of this as ordinary maintenance rather than a mystery, the ad trail looks less like a system watching your thoughts and more like a predictable machine reacting to signals you can control, at least enough to make the experience manageable. The conversation shifts when you realize the digital world didn't go wild. It simply evolved faster than anyone read the updates. Devices began interpreting every tap, scroll, and login as information, turning familiar habits into data points that quietly shaped how systems responded. The trail you leave isn't personal but procedural, built from years of using one email, keeping location enabled for convenience, and letting old receipts accumulate. Algorithms draw predictable conclusions, making targeted ads feel inevitable rather than surprising once you understand what your behavior signals. Remembering past technology frustrations steadies things, because anyone who endured screeching modems, stubborn printers, and relentless pop-ups already survived worse. Adjusting smartphone settings becomes manageable, requiring no technical expertise, just awareness that tools exist and influence which ads appear after routine conversations or mundane searches. Small steps make a difference, even if they don't erase tracking. Turning off app tracking on iPhones reduces unnecessary data collection, while resetting Android's advertising ID forces systems to rebuild assumptions, giving you a cleaner slate and reducing the momentum behind long-standing behavioral profiles. Reviewing Google ad preferences helps retire outdated interests, while checking Facebook's off-Facebook activity list exposes how many businesses feed information into its ecosystem. Disconnecting them creates gaps algorithms dislike, making your digital footprint less predictable without requiring changes or hours spent hunting for hidden settings. Even signing out of old accounts on forgotten devices disrupts continuity, removing the steady stream of signals that help companies maintain tidy profiles. These quiet adjustments weaken automated assumptions, giving you more breathing room while keeping interactions functional instead of feeding precision into data-driven systems. After these steps, the targeted ads lose their sharpness and start feeling more random because the algorithm has fewer clean lines to follow. What once felt like surveillance shifts into routine housekeeping, reducing noise without requiring measures or constant monitoring of every digital move. This shift shows you're not trying to outsmart the system, but simply adjusting settings so advertisements stop shouting after minor purchases. The process becomes calmer, turning digital interactions into manageable habits shaped by clarity rather than acceptance of whatever the software decides to predict next. Keeping pace on your terms depends on a few steady practices that remind the technology it operates in service to you, not the reverse. Those small habits reduce friction across apps, turning once noisy online environments into something orderly enough to navigate without pressure or frustration. These adjustments show that the digital world never lost coherence. Our expectations simply lagged behind changing systems. As identity, advertising, and routine behavior intertwined, a little digital hygiene restored proportion, helping everything feel less chaotic and more aligned with what people need from their devices. The trail follows you because continuity powers every algorithm, but continuity can be interrupted with ordinary steps that make your profile less neat. Those breaks reduce certainty in automated predictions, leaving room for unpredictability that lightens the experience rather than trapping you in fixed patterns. So the takeaway is that the world didn't lose its mind. We simply needed to recalibrate. A small amount of control restores balance, keeping digital noise manageable while letting you move forward without being led, and offering the recognition that awareness is the quiet advantage.